Hello everybody, this is a special Taff's word coming from inside my car because I'm an hour early for work. I forgot to do my Taff's word last night, so here we go. Killing two birds with one stone, killing a bit of time before I've got to go into the building, and then at the same time getting my Taff's word out to you guys. And this is the one following our disappointing loss at Luton. On a regular sort of basis, a loss at Luton wouldn't necessarily be disappointing because that's pretty much the outcome that anyone would pretty much expect. But on the nature of our first half performance, and then for the second part of the second half, it's disappointing. If you were there and you saw it, it wasn't so much that the goals just kept going in. It was just that their chances kept coming because they kept picking our defence apart. And a very, very unusual circumstance, a Ben White off game, a very, very bad off game, just goes to show that everybody in football is human after all. And unfortunately, he didn't put in the performance that was required. Thankfully for him, though, for every other game that he's played in, he's more than put in the performance required. So this isn't the end of Ben White by any stretch of the imagination, but it was a poor performance from him. It was a poor performance from everybody, really. There wasn't really anyone in that first half, at least, who you can say had a good game. In the second half, the damage was already done. We came out firing, we got the goal, we almost got a second, and then it slowly died off then, and then for the last sort of 15-20 minutes of the second half, we didn't really pose much of a threat. For once, Flynn's substitutions weren't the best. There were other people you could have taken off before the players he did. I think after Robbie Wilmot went off, our attacking... I'm not saying that Robbie Wilmot was directly responsible for all of our attacking in the early part of the second half, but as soon as Wilmot went off, it all just seemed to die out. I think Newbley is trying too much down the wing. I've said this once or twice before. He's good at cutting inside, he's good at getting the ball into the box, but we want Frank Newbley in the box to be on the end of that ball, not to be the one providing it. As much as he's providing service for his strike partner, he's not finding him often enough. It just goes to show that cutting inside is fruitless if you're not going to produce an end product. And the end product for the winger, cutting inside, is to find an attacker in the centre. What we need is two attackers in the centre on the end of them balls. And I'd imagine we might see a little bit more from it. Also want to touch on the referee's performance, and I know what people say, you can't blame the ref, can't blame the ref. Yes, of course, we cannot blame the ref. We let ourselves down in the first half, and ultimately, that's what cost us. But I felt that there was very much a lack of consistency from the officials. I think they were giving free kicks to Luton for things that they were letting go. On our part, Luton were throwing their weight around, they were bullying, they were taking every advantage they can. I mean, it's Luton at the end of the day. And a Luton team under Nathan Jones are going to try every trick in the book. And unfortunately, those tricks worked for them. And there was very much a sense of arrogance and lack of sportsmanship from the Luton side. I think Nathan Jones is a bit of a tosser, and he obviously puts that into his players. I think Danny Hilton was giving Joe Day some stick, and they were giving everybody else stick. Danny Hilton tried taking a dive again for a penalty. So Luton, like I say, a scoundrel team, basically. But then talking about the referee's performance, now I still don't know what their penalty for their third goal was given for. People say it was a tug of the shirt. Fair enough. In the second half at 3-1, when Mark O'Brien, who was the one supposedly penalised for a tug of the shirt, actually had his shirt tugged and you could see it, he was pulled down to be prevented from heading the ball. Nothing was given. So consistency, a lack of consistency. Going on from that, is like a lot of little fouls given here and there against us, which they were doing the exact same thing and they weren't given. Sometimes that can swing things a little in a game. Unfortunately, that's not something that we can blame. We can only blame ourselves for losing. But what I hope is that the referees are not going to become a trend that's going to spoil our party, so to say. Because last season, I think if the referees had done their job right, we'd have been safe a long time before the Great Escape. But you're never going to trade in the memories of the Great Escape, just to see better referees for last season. What you hope is that they learn from mistakes and then they're better this season. And so far, I'm going to wood in my car, but you know what I mean, touch wood, it's going to stay that way. Because at the moment, we've had good performances from referees, although there are very questionable decisions being made. And as I say, a lot of a lack of consistency from them too. So I just think, I just hope that is not going to become a trend, so to say. So Luton, it was, Luton's a shithole basically. I mean, we all know that. It's not a particularly nice place to go, but Luton fans, that's where you're from. People will say they come to Newport and that's a shithole, but it's our shithole. Luton is their shithole, I suppose. But say it's not a nice place to go. It was very hostile crowd. We just had to stand there and take it off of their fans who were like right next to us. And be honest, right, they were giving it as good as we usually give. So we can't complain that, those Luton wankers, we can't be having a go at, they were rubbing it right in. Like, we do it, we really rub it in when we're winning. And then we really give it straight to them when we're losing. So as fans, we can't really complain that the Luton fans were riling us up. But outside, it got a little bit nasty. Nothing come of it in the end. The police and stewards were on hand to prevent anything from happening. But I don't get how they let, when you get a hostile crowd like that, and you let both sets of fans out at the same time, and you allow these Luton fans who were right next to us, giving it large, to just waltz in amongst our fans who were waiting to get onto their bus. Buses, there was 3 buses there, and they allowed these people to just waltz through us, giving their usual bullshit. So, who cares? The game's over now. We lost 3-1. We showed signs of what we're capable of, but unfortunately, I think in the last sort of 5 or 6 games, we've only really seen signs of what we're capable of. We haven't completely executed what we're capable of. I think this team, and looking at the players individually and the way we've seen them play together, we could finish in a playoff place. But where we are right now, if we stay there for the season, I will be more than happy. Keep the team together. The 3 or 4 players who don't perform throughout the season, will move on. 3 or 4 players who will do a better job will come in, and then the cycle continues. A lot of talk of Flynn and the possibility of another club coming in for him. Flynn hasn't even got a full season under his belt yet, so no one's going to be judging him, and looking at him as a potential manager yet. Because, he pulled off the Great Escape, which in a lot of people's eyes could potentially end up being a fluke. The way we started the season shows that it probably wasn't a fluke, but, things can go wrong for managers, who are doing well quite quickly if they make a wrong turn in the direction they're taking their club. So I think we're not going to get, like I say, Flynn's doing a fantastic job, and I hope he's manager for a long, long time. It's a perfect fit for us. He may not necessarily be the perfect fit for somebody else. When you look at Gareth Ainsworth and the job he's done at Wickham, talking about another fan-zone club with an ex-player, someone who's got a strong link to the club being their manager. No one's even touched Gareth Ainsworth, and he's doing brilliantly there. Why not? Tisdale at Exeter has always done a great job, except for that little blip at the beginning of last season where all their fans wanted him out. I mean, short memories. I mean, they've had some great seasons under him, and now they're having even better seasons. And just for that one little blip they wanted him out, it baffles me. But he's still the manager, strong links to the club, and then no one's touched him. He's the longest serving manager in the Football League at the moment, bar Arsene Wenger, of course. So we've got to ask, why haven't they touched them? Because of the strong link they got with the club, it's a good fit for that club, and it's not necessarily a good fit for another club. Now, up-and-coming managers who do a good job at a club that they don't particularly have a link with, they've just taken a job and done well. You look at like Kevin Nolan, for example. I'd imagine a League One or Championship club who were looking for a new manager would look to someone like Kevin Nolan before Michael Flynn. Not because Michael Flynn wouldn't be capable of doing the job, but because they know that Michael Flynn for Newport works, Michael Flynn for their club may not. So that's why I'm not in fear of Flynn leaving anytime soon. What else can I really say? Malcolm Temple has resigned off the board. Before anybody starts thinking there's something untoward going on there, I wouldn't be jumping to any conclusions just yet. Malcolm Temple has been suffering with a bad back from all accounts for quite some time. Apparently have been taking time off work. So if he's had to take time off work, he can't exactly put any time into the club. And with a bad back, I know how tricky a situation that can be, being as people who I work with have had that problem. And trust me, it's not an easy thing to get to know. There's not particularly much light at the end of that tunnel. So you never know when you're ever going to get out of it. So I'd imagine that the resignation is down to the fact that he's stuck in a rut with that. So I wish him a speedy recovery. I hope it gets better for him. I want to obviously thank him for what he has done for the club. I know he's done an awful lot for the club. Not a lot of people know what our directors do, but I speak to some of them and I ask them things, and fair play, they're pretty honest with me. And I'm sure if any of you wanted to get in touch with them to ask them about the goings on at the club, I'm sure they'd do the same with you. So there we go. That's about 11.5 minutes. I'm only 50 minutes early for work now. So I suppose I could look to go inside, open up and get a head start, It does get a bit busy sometimes. But yeah, so there we go, guys. We're still on a good roll. We're still at a good start. If someone had told us this is the start that we're going to have at the beginning of the season and these are the results you're going to have, you'd have taken them by right now. But then I think we're in a mentality where we got to take things a game at a time. I think that's one thing that's been embedded into us because of the Great Escape. It was very much a one game at a time. So that's how we're taking things now, is one game at a time. And if we see a particular game where the team has played poor, we're going to criticise for that game. Not criticise the players for the effort they put in for the season, but for just that game. So any players are watching this and think, oh, they're getting on our backs, we've only played 1 or 2 bad games. It's not that we're getting on your backs because we think you're poor players. We get on your backs for that one game, and then we move on. The next game, when we play Yeovil at home on Saturday, is another game. And we're looking forward to it very much so, to keep our good home form, which is possibly the most pleasing thing given our home form over the last 2 seasons. Win, draw, win, win. Let's add another W to that on Saturday, eh? Anyway, I think that's enough time for now. Thanks all for watching, and tonight the live stream is at 10 PM. You can pick up the links. We put them out through Twitter and Facebook on the Amber Army pages. So I'll see you tonight, guys, and thanks again. And as always, up the county.